Muskoka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Premier, yesterday the town of Fort Frances and area First Nations chartered a plane at great expense to fly 1,800 kilometres to Toronto to try to get your government's attention. The paper mill is shut down, and if they don't get some help soon, in a matter of weeks, it could be lost forever. Expera, a specialty paper company, was interested in reopening the plant, but they could not get a reasonably priced supply of wood fibre essential to make the project viable. That price is controlled by the past owners of the mill. Premier, Expera was willing to invest $100 million to create hundreds of jobs in northwestern Ontario. So my question, will you call the CEO of Expera and do what you can to close a deal that will create jobs and bring investment opportunities to Fort Frances?
Thank you.
Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry.
For Natural Resources and Forestry.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I want to thank the member for the question. I would start by saying that the community of Fort Frances flew to Toronto with their supportive team for good reason, but I would say to the member they didn't have to fly to Toronto to get our attention, because they've had their attention on this issue going back weeks ago. When the deal fell apart, they had our attention, and since the deal fell apart, they've continued to have our attention. I mentioned yesterday in response to several questions, we will continue to work as closely as we can with the community of Fort Frances and with both of the parties to see what is possible. The member knows at the end of the day that this was a B2B arrangement that was trying to be consummated between hopefully a willing seller and hopefully a willing buyer. To this point, the deal has not been consummated. We continue to be in contact with them and work as diligently as we can to see what is possible to try and breathe some life back into that deal.
Here.
Thank you. Supplementary.
And again to the Premier, I don't think the Premier heard the question there, and that was that they asked for her to make a phone call to the CEO of Expera, so I hope she will do that. I know she passed the question on. Premier, the sustainable forest license in the Fort Frances area is controlled by the past operator of the paper mill. They're no longer interested in running the mill, but continue to control the Crown Forest, the Crossroot Forest. Premier, don't you think the license to harvest wood, or at a minimum, an economic supply of fibre from nearby forests, should go to the company willing to locate operations and reopen the mill in Fort Frances?
Thank you, Minister.